So in the last few weeks, I've really been studying the concept of dopamine. What is dopamine? How does it work? And I have a whole YouTube video coming out in like the next week or so about what that is. But one thing that I found really interesting about dopamine is the concept of relaxation. And now as I was reading about like dopamine and stuff like that, I've been reading like different books, different articles on dopamine, how it works. As I was reading, I kind of thought about what it means to relax. Because I feel like a lot of us, and me included, we have a false belief of what relaxation actually is. What happens is that, let's say we have like a long day of work or something, we're studying hard. No, we have a long day. We come back home and we just want to relax. So what is the first thing we reach for to relax? What it usually is some sort of high dopamine or high stimulating activity, like eating junk food, watching TV, doom scrolling. We call that relaxing. But what it really is just seeking dopamine. That is not relaxation, because the true definition of relaxation is letting your nervous system regulate itself. When you go for high stimulating activities, you're actually dysregulating your nervous system even more. When you do all these high stimulating activities and you dysregulate your nervous system is always going to be like a fight response. Anytime you have any sort of like free time, what happens is that you reach for another dopamine hit. Let's say you're just sitting in line and you don't know what to do. You don't allow yourself to be bored, because that's weird. Like, why would you just be bored? You need to pull out your phone, scroll on TikTok, check your messages, check your email, whatever. So instead of calling high dopamine activities relaxation, what we need to do is just sit down and do nothing. So you need to do low stimulating activities. For example, you could just read, you could meditate, you could just lay down and think, you could do breath work. Those are low stimulating activities, and that's what's actually going to allow you to regulate your nervous system. And when you regulate your nervous system, what happens is it's actually more pleasurable than doing any of these high dopamine activities. Because what happens is when you're doing high dopamine activities or high stimulating activities is you're pushing on this dopamine seesaw. So when you push on the pleasure side of the seesaw, what happens is you're going to get pleasure now, but you're going to get pain later. But if you allow yourself to go through the pain of just doing low stimulating activities, what happens is you're pushing on this pain part, you get more pleasure later, and it feels better. So here's how you can actually do this better in like daily life. If you have any free time, a lot of the times that's where your bad habits come from. So you want to make sure that any free time you have, you know exactly what you're going to do. So for example, whenever I have free time, what I go for is to scroll on my phone. Instead of scrolling on my phone, I'm trying to replace that habit with reading, because I know reading is probably better. And plus, reading actually helps me create these videos. So I'd much rather do that than scrolling on my phone, because you have no clue how much time I've wasted scrolling on my phone. It's very bad. But that's what happens when I have too much free time. So just make sure that any free time you have, know what low stimulating activities you can actually do instead. But that's it for this video. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.